Coming up next on Headline Humboldt, the Eureka Police Officers Association released a statement this week saying that it has reached an agreement with the city of Eureka to address staffing shortages. Also, Nanette Voss, English and drama teacher at Eureka High School, joins us to talk about Spamalot, a new play by the Eureka High School Players set to premiere this weekend, as well as her creative career and the importance of arts education. Coming up now on Headline Humboldt. Humboldt Hill, this is Headline Humboldt. I'm James Falk. Thanks for joining us. The several years sandwiched between adolescence and adulthood in a child's life are pivotal for determining who and what they will become. So many forces are at play, so many influences that can either reinforce and encourage a personality or complicate and derail that very act of becoming. Nanette Voss, full disclosure, has had 2 of my kids in her Eureka High School drama class these past several years. They've also been in her plays. They adore her, as do many of the other students who have taken her class and starred in her many EHS productions. She is demanding but respectful and has developed a chemistry with her students that helps them be the best they can be on and off the stage. She is a singer, an actress, a director, a writer, and seemingly above all, a gifted educator. We sit down with her to discuss the importance of arts education, the challenges of running a one-teacher department, and how creativity has helped shape her life. We also discuss this current production of Monty Python's Spamalot, how the kids have risen to the occasion with a complicated play, and why it's absolutely pivotal that the community support what these kids and their teacher are doing. They only get a small annual allocation of $700 from the school district, so a huge percentage of what they do is self-supported. That means your attendance makes all the difference in the world. But first, the news. In an update to an older story, the Eureka Police Officers Association announced this week that a deal has been struck with city administrators to address the department's ongoing staffing shortages and support officers in the field. Several months ago, Detective Joseph Couch, EPOA interim president, issued a statement asking for the community to understand the challenges it's facing and to help see them addressed. Couch asked for citizen support, even while clearly stating that the union's relationship with the city was a good one. This week, Couch issued another letter stating that a deal has been reached and that the relationship between the city and its officers was stronger than ever. Quote, Eureka Police Department, along with the Eureka Police Department administrative staff, the city manager, city council, and other city hall administrative staff, have been working in partnership to address staffing needs, the letter states. To that end, the EPOA and the city of Eureka underwent contract negotiations during the months of January and February. During these negotiations, it was apparent that the city council, city manager, and other city hall administrative staff support and value EPD personnel and the critical public safety services that we provide to the public, unquote. According to Couch, the new contract will help with recruitment and retention within the department. As always, Couch reiterated, public safety remains the officers and the city's top priority. Here's my conversation with Nanette Voss, English and drama teacher for Eureka High and director of the play Spamalot, premiering this weekend.
I chose Spamalot because I felt like this year, instead of a musical singing cast, I had a comedy cast. And it is high comedy. And I knew they could really play up the comedy, and that the songs would sell themselves because they're hilarious. People should see it because it is, lovingly ripped off of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is how it was promoted originally and how we are currently promoting it. It has all of the elements of the movie, plus songs, and then plus some songs that are in other Monty Python films, like Always Look on the Bright Side of Life and the Finland song, which is awesome. And the students are hilarious. They get it. They get the comedy. The physical comedy is incredible. And when I say things like, King Arthur, make your entrance a little bit longer. So I want you to make Patsy clop those coconuts like you're doing a cha-cha. I want you to clop those coconuts like you are doing some rumba, whatever it is. They're like, okay. And they do it. And I'll say things like, okay, I need you to lay on the floor and hold this thing. And I promise it's going to be funny. And they do it.
So, I mean, what would you say, I mean, from your perspective, what is the most challenging part of doing a high school play? And talk a little bit about the amount of work that the kids put into something like this. I mean, I know it's a lot of rehearsals, a lot of late night work, and a lot of dedication from kids who may not necessarily have made that kind of dedication to a project before. So can you talk a little bit about how it is to bring all that together?
Sure. It is incredibly difficult. It takes a lot of planning and preparation ahead of time for assume the worst and with the best intentions. So what I mean by that is like high schoolers can struggle to commit to things, as perhaps you know, and that many of them are excited about that, but they're all super excited about doing cool stuff. Yes. So you got to capitalize on the excitement and like make them recognize the commitment without making them feel trapped. It's like you're dating them. And you're like, maybe you want them to be a long-term thing, but you don't want to scare them away. So it's like, this is going to be really fun. Yeah, you have to be here 45 times a week, but like you're going to have a really great time. So it's totally going to be worth your time. Anyway, so that's how you got to play it to the kids. But like planning it is incredibly difficult. The amount of things that I have to put in place ahead of time. So for example, you know, if I think about technical things with Spamalot's a very tech heavy show. Oh gosh, there's so many pieces involved. So from like a big set to like, how do we do set changes to like holy hand grenades to cows flying over castles, giant wooden rabbits, all of those sorts of things that like make this particular show really stand out from any other show. And they're constantly moving scenes or changing locations. So how do you do that? So way ahead of time, I'm thinking about like, what are the quickest ways? So I want to have a castle facade for sure. I want that to be my main set piece. But what else do I have as set pieces then? And then when I think about like tech around that, okay, like, so what do I want lit? So I want the top of the castle lit and I need the floor lit. And then I actually want some people in the audience sometimes. So I need the audience lit. And then I have to think about the sound. So where's the sound going to go? So how many people am I going to mic? So all of those things. All the props involved, all of the tech involved, all of the building involved is student driven too. And the fact that I have to convince them again, like we're going on this crazy journey together. Yeah, we're going to spend 5 Saturdays hanging out for 5 hours. It's going to be so fun. I promise. I'll get you pizza. You know, all those things like to make it seem like it's worthwhile. And then I think the hardest part is that I am, you know, we are at Hell Week. So Hell Week is like the week that everything comes together. Yeah, the leading up to the first night. Is that right? Exactly. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And so like opening night is on Friday. And this is the week where like I'm realizing all the things that I may have forgotten. Or that like, oh no, I gave that responsibility to a student and it's still not done. Oops. And all those things. And I think part of it is like, I could be the sort of leader who like freaks out, who gets mad, who is like, you know, yelling at the kids, but like, that's not effective. I've never found it effective. I've never led that way. So it's certainly, I always start this week with like, I tell the students like, we need to practice gratitude this week. And like, say thank you to everyone. Say thank you to everyone who hands you a thing, who is there for you. Say thank you to people you don't usually talk to. I'm going to say thank you to you over and over and also be firmer with you. All those things are important because if I don't say things like that, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, Nan's so mad. But I'm not. I'm not mad. I believe we just have stuff to do. And so I think leading in particular high school theater, there is a firmness and a gentleness and heavy preparation involved in order for everyone to know where they fit in this giant puzzle that we have. And we're going to put all those pieces together. And this week it is like, we're like at the point where you like, you're pretty certain you had all the pieces when you started, but maybe one of them may have fallen under the table. And so right now you're like grabbing for like whatever's under the table, like, nope, that's some lint. I didn't need that. Like, or there's like some other stuff under the table. Like, oh my God, there's the piece. I knew we had that piece. And then you can finally put it in the puzzle and you have a really awesome picture. So
Yeah.
that's where we are.
It's interesting you talk about, they're high school kids and you're trying to entice them into this, but then make them feel trapped. These are formative experiences for these kids. And like, as they're dealing with you, I mean, and if you're going through a difficult, or a stressful week, like you said, you might be firmer, but you're not mad, but they have to learn how to differentiate between those things. And the whole process is basically figuring out how to carry something from, nascency and planning all the way to fruition. And you've got all this stuff going on in construction and everything else. Do you ever feel the weight of like that responsibility of trying to get them play off, which is really important, get them to perform as well as they can, but then also construct for them a valuable experience that they're going to carry forever? When I was in high school, I wasn't even in a play, but I was in the band for Grease. And I cherish that memory. It's like one of my most valuable memories from high school. And it's still something I think about and brag about. You can ask Sophie about it. But and I just remember that was such an important part of my life. And it was like, to a bad teacher, it would just be another 5 days of the week or whatever. But I know you're not that, because I've heard from both of my kids how great you are as an inspirer and an educator. So, I mean, can you tell us how you, deal with that kind of responsibility and how you think about it?
Man, I never don't think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I take this job, I take it really seriously. I laugh a lot because it's joyful. But I walk into every one of these experiences being like, okay, I've done this before. I learned last time, this is going to be different. And this is my 11th year here at Eureka High School as the director of the Players here. But, I've been music directing and directing shows for almost 20 years now. And so I have like this, I'm armed with all this knowledge of like past successes and past failures. And so the weight of any show weighs heavily upon me. And like in that planning process, I do think about like, okay, we're probably not going to get all this stuff done when I really want it done, but I'm going to put on the calendar that I want it done this day. Mm-hmm. And like, I don't want the experience to the kids to be like, oh no, we didn't get it done, so like it's the end of the world. I want it to be like, no, this is part of the process. Like I anticipated this, right? And that's something many of them will remind each other like, oh, the costumes are due or the props are due. It was on the calendar, this and that. And they like go around like teasing each other, which is awesome. Number one, they're reading the calendar. They're paying attention, but also, and then they come to me like, oh my gosh, man, I'm not done. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. You're not done. Like, did you make a list of the things that need to be done? How can I help you be successful in this? What, so we really think about it as a team. And so when I'm going in, I recognize that it's my job to carry them through the hard times. Like carry them through the times when they're nervous, when they're worried. I mean, this week they're all terrified because we only made it through Act 1 last night. We're going to be fine. But we have like things to spike on the stage. There's reasons to stop. We need to do things again. There's props that people didn't realize were on the table. Go back and get them. Like it's my job. And I really feel the weight of making this particular week so much more pleasant than it could be. Because I have horror stories of like high schoolish like experiences where it's like, oh my God, like, why are we getting yelled at all the time? And so like, how can I show them that like, I orchestrated this, but they did it. They were the ones practicing all the stuff, learning the skills, putting it together. And that really like, I gave them the tools to make this really cool thing. And I'm still here. Like, I'm not abandoning them. I'm never going to blame them. If anything, oh my gosh, James, there's so many times I've been like, oh, I could have done that so much better. Like some kid forgetting lines or lyrics or kids not knowing the choreo. I'm like, oh no, that's me. That's on me. Like I didn't do it, that's not entirely true. Like, right.
Sure, of course.
They could have practiced, but that I am very serious about it. And like, I commit deeply to these kids. Like, You will never not see me at a rehearsal or a tech day. I'm always going to be there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they're like my little family. So it's important to me.
Yeah, and the kids that from people I've known who've been involved, and I mean they do take it seriously, and I think part of that is the inspiration that you bring to the table. Talk about yourself a little bit. I mean, how did you end up in drama? I know you also teach AP English, and your interests are wider. You're in a musical group, from what I understand. Can you talk a little bit about your early creativity and how that ended you up being a drama teacher? And we'll go on from there. I have more questions in that regard.
Okay, all right. that's like a biography. Like,
yeah, I'm trying to build something.
The beginning of your autobiography and like my early creativity. I certainly have been doing theater a really long time.
Yeah.
I started theater. I remember the first community theater show I did was Annie, and I was 12 years old. And it was a big deal, and it was super fun. And I pretty much did theater from then on. So all through high school, I did theater. I was often a lot like some of these crazy kids who are in my shows. Like I was in multiple shows at the same time. And like I've always done that. I took a break for college, though I did go to college briefly for musical theater. So I have training. I mean, and then I have lots of training that is like hodgepodge together. I do not have a degree in theater, but I was a musical theater major. So I've taken acting, dance, and vocal coaching. I am a singer above all things as far as myself creatively. If there was the 10,000 hours that I've committed to anything, it is certainly vocal work. So I am a singing coach. I'm a musical director. I am in a band still. I'm in the Jim Lawman Band. We're awesome. You should check us out. Also in Staff Infection, which is the Eureka City School staff band. We are also awesome. But as a singer, that's really like my joy in performing comes through singing. Theater was always just a vehicle for me to sing when I started out. And then I just really liked acting too. And it's still like, it's not my first love, but like, I love it, obviously. And then once I started teaching more, I actually taught at CR, and I taught English at CR for like 8 years before I even moved to the high school. When I was teaching there, I started music directing here at Eureka High. And so I started working here with other drama teachers. So I made other connections at Eureka High School. And then when I got my credential, it all just happened. Like I had already been here and people knew me. They knew I did good work. The drama teacher was leaving as I got my credential. Yeah. I just slid right into the theater job and English job here. And it's sort of like, it all sort of made sense. It was like all of the things that I do. So all of the writing work that I do and the teacher work that I do and all the theater work I do just kind of made sense once I got this job here. And I still practice a lot of theater. I'm in a show right now for Redwood Curtain Theater called A New Brain that'll go up in May. That's a musical. It's a really cool musical you've probably never heard of. Keep your ears open.
I will.
Rad musical. And I run Redwood Curtain Theater still, and I am the producing director now at the 5th and D Street Theater, formerly NCRT. So my work in the theater world has gone from like singing on the stage and acting a little bit in the shows to like overseeing whole theaters and theater programs, which is crazy. It's crazy to me. I never would have even imagined that.
The value of arts education is something that's been, not debated, but kind of, I think, neglected over time. And there's been this heavy reliance or heavy emphasis on STEM education, which is vitally important. But I think that it's also just as important to focus on kids being creative and being able to express themselves in ways that, channel energies that might manifest in negative ways if they're not handled. Do you feel like, first off, how do you feel? Obviously you're a drama teacher, but how valuable and what is the value of arts education for kids? You see kids come in who maybe haven't had a creative outlet before and give them one. What kind of transformation does that allow for? And what good is it for kids to be on stage or performing and that kind of thing?
Yeah, I love arts integration, arts education. is, I think, the best vehicle to apply every discipline that you learn individually in a classroom. So the arts is math, and the arts is history, and the arts is science, and the arts is English and writing and critical thinking.
Yeah.
It's always amazing to me that it's not always seen as a capstone, that it is not next to, like, STEAM education to me is better than STEM education. The A in there is really important to me for that arts. Because so much of the arts is science. So much of it is career technical education. If you think about lighting and sound and things like that in more advanced ways. But even on like just the ground level, I do often in like theater, basic theater class, where Sophie's in just like the one period of theater that Eureka High offers right now, that is comprised of 3 different theater classes as far as the course catalog goes. Wow. So I've got advanced theater kids in there, stagecraft kids, and then a lot of beginning theater kids.
And that's only one period, and you teach all of it?
Yes, one period teaching to 3 different levels of students who signed up for 3 different classes, figuring out how to access them all. You know, I've done it for like 10 years, so I certainly have figured out kind of like, I take the advanced kids and, you know, they end up overseeing the beginning kids by the end of this year. Like the advanced kids will be the ones in charge of projects that we do in class, whatever they are. But the value of arts education for just students who struggle, which, man, I can't even tell you how much theater class is like therapy. And the students would say that too. Like we start in a circle on the floor every day. Yeah. They have journals. There is some prompt, and sometimes it's silly, like, do you shampoo your eyebrows? And sometimes it's deeper, like, so what is something that you wish adults would have told you that they didn't tell you and you found out on your own?
Yeah.
And that ends up being that's a whole class.
Sure.
Like, because it's amazing what will happen when you create a space that is safe, where they feel seen. You know, of course, I know everyone's name. I know at some of their interests. I know if they have siblings. I typically know their family situations and what they had for breakfast. You know, like I know the kids. So when they're safe and they're feeling good, it's amazing how kids who like never felt comfortable before sharing just turn into like these beautiful humans that are confident and they feel like they can be themselves in my space. I have lots of trans kids, lots of gay kids, and they feel seen. And that's so valuable. We were doing monologues today, and I have a very specific example. I have this kid, he's a junior now. He was a freshman when he started. He was really quiet, really sweet guy, like his first time around. Barely could understand what he was saying half the time. And he's a junior now, so he took it when he was a freshman. This is his second time taking this class as a junior. He did his monologue today. It was memorized. The dynamics were beautiful. The emotional intention behind it was incredible. And you could tell that he had heard everything I had said, everything we had talked about, all the example videos we had watched. He took that in, every moment of reflection where I was like, okay, you just did it. What can you do different next time? It showed today. Yeah. And this kid, in any other class, I've seen him in other classes, he's quiet, doesn't say a thing, was standing all by himself on this stage. And I can't imagine him having a place other than theater class to have that experience. And and I also have kids in special day classes who come to my class. I've had many almost every year. This year I have a student who's blind. And that's rad because that really changes the dynamics of our room when he's there. It's oh, Logan's here, so we're going to play this game a little bit differently so that he can actually experience it, you know?
Yeah.
It's amazing. But I love it because there's no other class that anyone, I think, can teach where we have crazy emotional roller coasters in circle time, and then we're belly laughing in 5 minutes about something else. And every kid in there knows each other's names. not just me. They know each other,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And they never would have known each other in any other class.
You're trying to get people to go to the shows of this weekend and next weekend, and describe for our audience how important it is that the audience show up and support, local high school theater. What does it do for the kids, and what do they get out of it?
Oh, so this show in particular has been a crazy, crazy train ride because things the audience needs to know. That we just got our auditorium back after it being closed for a year and a half. There is no technical director in that auditorium. We usually would have a human who runs the auditorium stuff, the lights and the sound, and who helps me build sets and all of that. Yeah. It has just been us. The audience needs to know that this particular show has been a labor of love. It has been me calling in favors to all of my other theater family, other people who do sound and lights, teach, and these other humans that are way out here, don't even work at Eureka High, are coming in, are teaching the students how to run the light board, how to run the soundboard, how to hook things up, which is amazing. The audience needs to know that. This show has been so much work for us. Joyful work, but so much work. So the things that happen behind the scenes are amazing. Other things that we need money still. We've paid for our trip for New York. We now need to just refurbish our supply of money so we can go on other trips, because I would like to go to Ashland as well again. And right now, our only fundraising we get is through doing shows, really, unless we do other weird fundraisers, but we make our most money doing shows. So come and support us, because the arts are cool. The kids are amazing, and the effort that they put into it, and that funding is all we get. I only get $700 from the district office every year for my program. And it is, for this show, it was $2,500 for the rights. And then we certainly have spent probably another $1,500 to $2,000 in supplies of props and construction materials and all of those sorts of things that we need to actually put it on. So we've spent probably about $5,000 just to get the show going, all at the same time. Wow, I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there, but numbers are important, people.
No, absolutely. And especially when your program is basically self-supporting.
It is self-supporting. And so audiences are our bread and butter. It is, we have concessions. We'll be selling swag that didn't get picked up that we had accrued throughout the year. So there'll be other ways to support the Eureka High Players. But not only is the show just fun, but it really is the only way that we continue to function as a department.
Sophia, who is not actually in the play, has helped out this year by creating the poster. If we can take that up. Once again, Spamalot will be showing April 5th, 6th, 11th, 12th, and 13th at 7:30 p.m. and April 7th at 2 p.m. Tickets will be available at the door, $10 for students and seniors, $15 general admission. It promises to be a rollicking good time. Stay tuned, stay informed.